Hi, I'm Susan from Bet's Bees, and today I'm just going to be feeding some bees and checking just barely to see that all of my hives look like they're in good shape. So let's go. I had intended to use my purchase of a brand new microphone for this video, and I did use it, but I neglected to double check that it was working all the way through the process, and so I recorded a bunch of film with no sound. And that being said, I have to do a voiceover. My queen rearing season is fast approaching, and so not only do I have dry pollen out, and they are obviously taking it, but I need to put pollen patties on not just the small nucs now, but the larger colonies too, so that they can develop and push some of their production in bees. I'll be using those bees in builders and for our queen rearing. It's a really nice day. The bees are moving, and some of these hives are big and some are not too big, but everybody's moving, and cracking some of them to give them pollen patties, that outweighs for me any propolis cracking that I may have to do by opening them and deliver the pollen patty over them the loss of their propolis. In this particular apiary, it is situated in an area where lots of wildflowers, no big ag, not a lot of development, and we have maples that are just about to bloom, and it's very close. And right here is a little pond, so they have access to water, yet I'm really on the bayous, so they have a lot of access to water. This particular pond, we do know, has a alligator. I'd say a resident, but they tend to move around during spring. But last year one was about 4-footer and watched us, and we watched it. Where we live, the cold is basically a short-lived winter, and while we'll have cold weather at night, generally it warms through the day. Even if it's a 40-degree day, it's warmer than 0. So first what I do is I like to check the weight just by tipping the hives, and then I open the lid to see that the bees are up at the top or where, and then I start cracking down below to see just really where is the brood nest, where is the most beneficial spot to place that patty. The pollen patty definitely has to be placed nearest the brood to be utilized. So in my area, there probably will be warmer days, but if I want them utilizing it through the cool spells, I definitely have to feed them on top of their brood. And that's why I'm cracking them wherever the population is largest. My pollen patties will go. My pollen patties consist of pollen substitute and honey. I also use fresh pollen that I trapped through last season, and the honey is basically my crystallized honey and some of the essential oils. That way I don't have to feed the larger girls any syrup. They all have enough honey on them, but the smaller hives I will give some syrup. If you were feeding syrup, the temperatures do have to be above 50. So because I do get temperatures above 50, the syrup is well taken. Below 50, you need to stick to either dry sugar or some sort of fondant. It's too cold for them to take the syrup at any lower temperature. When I put the patties on, I wrap it in wax paper, and this is wax paper helps hold moisture. The patty is a peanut butter texture, loose peanut butter, and that way it stays moist while they're still taking it. It can last quite a few days, and even as it dries out, it still is moist enough for them to take it. Once it's hard, I do have to scoop it out and get rid of it. I have different ways of delivering syrup to some of the small girls. I use Ziploc baggies, some small deli cups, and some are in-hive frame feeders. It all depends on which hive and when they came up needing some syrup. Each one of the deli cups, however, they do need some sort of flotation device in them, otherwise the bees will drown. Just like the in-frame feeders, they need something for them to float on, something to be able to climb out of, otherwise you'll get a bunch of dead bees. They do tend to drown. Most of my 3 medium hives are very heavy with honey, and lifting with one hand and delivering the patty with the other, I couldn't have done it without my crew. And maybe I could have, but I would definitely be a lot more tired at the end of the day. This pollen feeding will push my populations for my queen rearing. It starts in mid-February, and it's weather dependent, of course, but most years I get it to it around Valentine's Day, and it seems like it may end up being like that again. You cannot feed pollen patties if the bees can't fly. They have to be able to defecate outside the hive, so make sure you have entrances where they can leave. So this has been a really nice day to get these pollen patties on, because we are expecting some cold, rainy weather, and it may last for a week or more. And that way they can do their work on the inside of the hive without having to fly too far. And since it's a month out, I'm definitely pushing extra, because if they have extra pollen, that's when they'll begin to rear some drones. And the drone has to be laid a month in advance, so that by the time I push some queens, the drones will be flying. If I don't have drones flying, there's no point in queen rearing. I tried out my new microphone. Hopefully it worked. And this is what we do. Just prep. And every hive is really looking pretty darn good. Again, it's mid-January. By mid-February, I'm engrafting. So these are my builders and my nukes.